We've all heard that the mitochondria is a powerhouse of the cell. Okay, it's biology 101. But why do we call it that? Well, the mitochondria is the major place in the cell where ATP is generated. And this is done through a process called cellular respiration. And cellular respiration has three major steps. The first is the production of acetyl-CoA, which can happen in a couple different ways. The main way that you usually learn about is through glycolysis, in which glucose is broken down to produce pyruvate and then acetyl-CoA. It can also occur from the breakdown of fatty acids through beta oxidation or from the breakdown of amino acids, which are produced when proteins are broken down. The next step in cellular respiration is the citric acid cycle, or the TCA cycle, or the Krebs cycle, whatever you want to call it. There's a bunch of different names for the same exact process. There are two main goals of the citric acid cycle. The first one is to generate GTP, which can then be converted into ATP. The second function is to generate electron carriers, which are FADH2 and NADH, which then can go and enter the electron transport chain, which is the third part of cellular respiration. This is also called oxidative phosphorylation. And this is when ADP, so adenosine diphosphate, di for two phosphates, is combined with inorganic phosphate, which is one, to make ATP, so adenosine triphosphate. So there's now three phosphate groups. This is done using energy from electrochemical gradient. So the electro is the electrical potential caused by differences in charge across the membrane. And then the chemical part is from a difference in pH across the membrane. Specifically, the inner mitochondrial membrane, so the membrane between the mitochondrial matrix and the inner membrane space. Electron transport across the electrochemical gradient then causes something called proton motive force, which powers an enzyme called ATP synthase, which synthesizes ATP, as you can probably tell from the name. So that is what actually takes ADP and inorganic phosphate and combines them into ATP. And ATP is then what is the energy currency of cells. And this is because that third phosphate group on ATP is a very high energy bond. And when that high energy bond is broken, it releases energy that can then be consumed by other chemical reactions that require energy to be performed. This is called reaction coupling or energy coupling, where energy that is released from one reaction is used and consumed in another reaction. There are many biological processes that require ATP hydrolysis, which is what that's called when that third phosphate group is broken off. It's ATP hydrolysis. There are a lot of biochemical processes that require this in order to occur because they are reactions that need an input of energy to happen. There are other nucleoside triphosphates that can do this, like GTP that I mentioned earlier, can also be an energy source, but ATP is most common. So that is why the mitochondria is a powerhouse of the cell, because it makes the energy currency of the cell, ATP.